Grand rising and good morning. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to Ask the Shaman. I'm your host, your loving host and friendly neighborhood shaman, Anthony Golden Sunshine. How's everyone doing today? I'm happy to be here. Let me turn this light up. I feel like I'm in the dark. Let's see here. There we go. Is that a little bit better? That's a little bit better now. Yeah, we'll put some light on the subject. Good morning, everyone. It's been a beautiful weekend. I can't believe it's Tuesday again already. Everything kind of just happening really fast. How's everyone's Easter? I liked it. I overate, though, and I didn't feel so well yesterday from all the overeating. But it's funny. We were kind of talking about that. I was talking to one of Mary's cousins about that. Like how silly, like how we've been trained to be, like we generally, what we do is when we celebrate something, we celebrate an overindulgence and sugar and alcohol, generally a whole bunch of poisons, and I've had like several reports now, because almost every holiday, what happens after a holiday? People get sick. Go figure. I definitely ate too much sugar. I wouldn't say I was sick yesterday, but I didn't feel well. I still don't really feel right today, to be honest. I woke up this morning and feel well. It's rainy and stuff too. I feel a little bit heavy today, but I think that's just some heavy energy I got to get rid of. We'll do that here this morning. Good morning, 1 million Buddhas. I did want to talk today. I think one of the subjects I'll talk about today is triggers. I like to talk about triggers. But before I get there, let me talk about some of the events we have working out and coming up. So we're going to be at Sacred Waters tomorrow. So Sacred Waters North Olmsted. If you've never been there, come check it out. It's a really cool place to just be. It's not like any other type of bar type of atmosphere. It's way different, especially when you get up there and we start doing the spiritual work, which we bring there. There's other events and things that happen there. I really enjoy the one we do. So come check that out tomorrow at 7 p.m. And then what I'm really excited for is this Sunday is going to be the Spirit Guide Workshop. So I'll be doing a Spirit Guide Connection and Communication Workshop. That's from 1 to 4 p.m. on Sunday. Then Thursday on the 11th, we'll be doing a guided meditation with Mary. And then we have some other stuff going on in the month. One thing that's really cool is a private residence we go to. A yoga teacher that we know. She's got this really nice place, Yogi's Karma. We'll be there on the 19th. And Yellow Brick, oh, that's something else. Training ice bath. Let's see, South. So back at Sacred Waters on the 1st of May. So there's more to be announced. I will have more online workshops. I've designed about 21 of them. So I'm excited about that. Head on over to YouTube. If you're not watching from YouTube, please watch from YouTube. Like, subscribe, turn on your notifications. That helps us out a whole bunch. All right, so the floor is open. How this works, it is called Ask the Shaman. So please come forward with any questions, comments, concerns. There's really nothing off limits. I only ask that your communication be respectful, and not too far out. We don't want to get too far out. If you're asking really far, I like far out questions. I like to answer them. I just think for like general public use, this may not be the most, the highest contribution would be here. But please ask any question. And while we allow others to come in and ask questions, what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up my sacred space. I have yet to do my first practice this morning. My normal kind of routine is when I wake up. You may have heard me talk about this before. I hit the snooze and I move into breath and gratitude. Well, I didn't really do that today because I was feeling kind of heavy, maybe even depressed. I feel a little depressed, a little just blah this morning. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to see if I can straighten that up. Okay, right here live with you. So I think that's one of the best things to do is for teachers, because there's plenty of spiritual teachers out there, and then they give off this idea that everything's always love, light, rainbows, and bubbles and butterflies. Well, it isn't. That's not how it is. Sometimes it's heavy, and it's meant to be heavy because we learn about ourselves in the heavy. So since I'm feeling kind of heavy, I don't feel extremely heavy, but a little heavy, heavier than usual. I figure what I'll do is I'll share with you how I get myself to begin to flow energy. This doesn't mean it eliminates all the problems. You're not trying to run away from anything. You're just trying to shift your state so that way you can observe what's happening in your life. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to open up my sacred space. And that starts with me putting my hands here in front of my heart in prayer position. I take in a deep breath and I release it very slowly. And I take in a deep breath and I release very slowly. I take in a deep breath and I release very slowly. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the energy of my heart. So I'm projecting my heart energy into my hands. I'm opening my heart into my hands. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that energy up over my head as I take in a deep breath. Up over my head, and I'm going to turn my hands out and open up my energetic bubble. I'm opening up my aura. You're opening up the electromagnetic field that is generated by your heart. And my hands come back together in my lap. My hands come together. And now I'm bringing all the energy from my tailbone up to my heart, up through my belly. And then I take that deep breath in from my heart overhead. Turn hands out. Open your energy field. We're going to do it again. And this feels really good this morning. So this is kind of like a Qigong exercise. Bringing the energy up through the body, over the head. Out, around you, down, up and back in. Out the top. We're moving ourselves into flow, into radiant energy. Very good. Now my energy feels nice and open. Now I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my little bell. I like to use these little brass bells. What I do is I use this to call in spirit. So all the spirits I work with, we've worked together. We are trained together that when I start to ring this bell, all my spiritual energy starts to float, starts to flood in. Let me turn that down a little bit. And then what I may do is I may begin to call in the spirits. I usually begin just by calling in the directions, 7 directions. I'm first calling in the earth. I call in the energy of the earth. And then I'm going out this way is south for me. So I'm reaching out to the south. And I call in the southern winds and all the energy and spirits of the south. Bring that here. And I'm reaching out into the west. And I'm calling in the winds of the west, the mighty winds of the west. And all of the energy and spirit of the west, calling it in, bringing it here to my bubble. Reaching out to the north, I'm calling in all the spirits and energies of the north. And then of the east, calling in the energies, the light of the east, the winds of the east. And I'm reaching out diagonal, and I'm calling in the energy of the rainbow, which includes all of my spirit pack and family and teachers. And then I'm reaching out to the heavens and I'm calling in Virkocha or God or the one living energy of creation. calling that in. So you're calling in these 7 directions. And then what I do is I put my hand on my tummy and I give loving thanks to my tradition and my lineage. And you can do this too. So say if you're a Christian, you can give loving respect to your lineage of being a Christian, or if you're a pagan, or however it is, how if you have like a lineage of teaching or knowledge, you want to give it your respect into your belly. Yari, victory and praise as we call upon all beings of light, energies, frequencies of the cosmos. We call into the 4 winds and all of the living energy of the earth. We are open and ready to receive. So what I do is I open up my hands, and now I'm in my bubble. My bubble's open, my hands are open. I'm inviting all the spiritual energy here. And all the spiritual energy comes in, it starts to come into the bubble. And the bubble creates the container in which for me to make a strong connection and communicate with my spiritual guidance. So lots of spirit has come in now since I've called them in. And it may be that way for you too, because when we call in together, we're calling in all of our spirits, all of the energies that work with us and are open to be here to help us, guide us, teach us. So I'm opening my hands, and as my hands are open, I'm inviting that energy into my hands. Your hands have more nerve endings than any other part of your body, so it's really simple for you to connect with the living energy that's around you through your hands. You're essentially asking with your heart. Out of your heart, you're asking your spiritual guidance to come to you. And it is through the hands. It's almost like I'm holding hands with my higher guidance. And then I begin to breathe through the hands. I'm breathing in through the hands and out through the hands. In through the hands and out through the hands. And in through the hands and out through the hands. And in through the hands and out through the hands. And just relax. You're just relaxing. It's really quite simple. And this is where I usually move into prayer. And I may say some sweet words to the higher powers. Great Lord, great creator of the universe. And you don't have to limit yourself to what that is. Allow it to be whatever it is for you. There's no wrong answer. It's all about your connection. It's yours, no one else's. That's the difference between this type of being, this type of shamanism, and religion. You're not forced to be told what God is. It's up to you. You're opening yourself up to discover that for you. And then I just leave myself open to receive that energy, however it shows up. Very good. And I just kind of leave it this way. I leave it this way. I'm open. I'm ready. Mildly oxygenated. I could use some more, but I think we'll move into that in a few moments. Nardu's here. Nardu says, I was thinking about not moving energy stagnant people. Wouldn't triggering people a way to start that movement, or is there a difference? I was thinking about not moving energy stagnant people. Not moving. I was thinking about, so you're thinking about people who don't have stagnant energy. Would triggering people be a way to start that movement, or is there a difference? I'm trying to figure out exactly what you're asking me, Nardu. Whoa. Yeah, so you never like go out with intention to trigger anyone. What you have to do is just allow spirit to work through you and be loving and true. And on its own, that may trigger some people. The light in you, the light in us, the light in another can trigger the heaviness in someone else. But it really, the trigger doesn't have to do with anything external. And like I said, we were going to talk about triggers today. And not so much about external triggers, but the things that trigger you, you know. uh, to trigger you. So people are not connected. People are not connected are just not connected, and there's nothing you can do about that. You have to accept that that's where they're at. At some point in your journey, you two are not connected. There's points in your journey now where you will be not connected. It's not that you're not actually connected. You're always connected because you're the universe. It's not the connection, it's the awareness. So even the people who are not connected, these people are perfected beings. We make judgments about them. So even calling them not connected, well, what little faith we are. Of course they're connected. They're us. Fun. That was fun. Yeah. So it's more about what I want to talk about is our own triggers, is the things that trigger you. So, triggers are normal. I'm not saying they're bad or wrong. I don't see my triggers as something wrong or bad, or judge other people's triggers as wrong or bad. What I do point out is that the trigger is perfect medicine, and it shows you where you're not free. Now, people who don't want to be free can't understand that. And so that just sounds like a bunch of malarkey to them. But again, that's wherever you're at on your journey is where you begin to become aware. And the first thing is just awareness of when you're triggered. Okay, so if you're triggered by something, so when I get triggered, which happens, it's a normal part of being human, the first thing I try to do is ask myself, well, why am I triggered? And usually why the triggering happens is it's a form of defense. It's a defense network. It's your ego's trying to protect itself, but there's nothing to actually protect because you're not in actually any real danger. There's just a reaction of defense that's happening. So it comes into, what am I trying to defend? What is it? I have people come to me all the time. So-and-so did this and said this, and I was triggered and, lost my cool and everything. I said, so what were you trying to protect? And they'll say, well, I was trying to protect myself. And I was like, oh, so you were under attack? Were they after you with weapons or, no. Well, what were they doing? Well, they were saying things. Oh, so you weren't in any actual real danger? Well, no, I guess not. Like, okay, so why are you reacting? Oh, so it starts to make sense in your mind when you sit there and start to slow down. Like, why am I triggered? Why do I give a shit what anyone else says or thinks? As long as you're not touching me or hurting someone else and in a physical sense. I mean, it takes us back to sticks and stones. No doubt words have energy. Words are energy. No doubt about that. But the thing is as we become conscious, we don't have to give any attention to the words, to the energy. And that's really what our ascension process is about, is learning how to master our energy, learning how not to react even when you're triggered. It's okay that the trigger shows up. What you don't have to do is react. And if you do, just being gentle and loving to yourself. But that's the biggest thing that I learned and I appreciate about triggers, is when the trigger shows up, I become quickly aware that, oh, I'm going to learn something today. I'm learning today. I have a question. I need to think about the phrasing. It came out poor. No problem, brother. Let it come through how it comes through. I can feel it. Just bring it in here. Just bring it into the space. Who else has some questions this morning? I'd love to hear about your questions, especially if you have something to say about triggers. A lot of people get frustrated when you tell them, well, your triggers are your own. No one else can trigger you. You choose to be triggered. Just like no one can make you mad. You choose to be mad. That's the chosen response. Feels terrible at first, because now you have to become aware of the role you play in your own suffering, which is all of it. Really, that's actually the truth, is you create and generate your own suffering. For the most part. I mean, there's probably, I'm sure, some, there's no one way, there's many ways. But the truth is when we can take accountability for our reactions, not just our actions, but our reactions. Whatever happens in the reality may elicit a reaction, a response, but allowing ourselves to slow down and move out of there. Now, as you advance on your path, what I do recommend to people sometimes is not to run away from the trigger, to actually invite the trigger and know the trigger and feel the trigger. Like yesterday, I became triggered about something or another, and I became aware of how my thoughts, what my mind was saying, and all kinds of things. I even had like some outward kinds of heavy reactions around me in the world. Not like major or anything, but enough to have my attention. And then I was able to take my time and look at the behavior choices. So it's allowing yourself to move into the space of observership, to be the observer, to watch your behavior. That's my favorite thing to do. It's like a little birdie on a perch. I have my consciousness is the birdie on the perch, and it watches this character named Anthony, some of the things he does and chooses, and then, brings that information back and helps to mold a new way of being. Hi, Tom Thompson. Good morning. Good morning. What you said a while back, that our suffering is created for the most part by not accepting reality. That's right. So, that's something I say all the time is you're never going to suffer unless you're disagreeing with reality. Because if you can be acceptant of what it is and have the mindset that no matter what happens, it's going to be to your benefit, what do you care what happens? So it's all mindset, like that's really a big thing here, where we're at on our road to ascension. Is our mindset, becoming aware of how I'm using my mind. Am I using it for me or am I using it against me? And that's the plain simple fact. If you start paying attention, you've never suffered a moment in your life unless you're in disagreement with reality, unless you're saying it should be some other way than it is. It's impossible to suffer. This doesn't mean pain. Pain is inevitable. You will feel pain. That's going to happen. We're meant to feel all ranges of emotion and feeling. You can't even be a full person, a whole person, unless you're open to feel and can process all ranges of emotion, right? People hide from their heaviness. We hide from our pain and our non-feeling and push that stuff down. And that's where the symptoms begin to generate, not just emotional symptoms, not just fear and anxiety and depression, but physical symptoms. Physical illness arises. I had actually a friend of mine calling me, texting me last night, telling me about her boyfriend. He's trying to change and he's having lots of gut issues. And she's looking for these physical remedies, saying that they've been to the doctor and they really haven't found anything. I'm trying to explain it probably won't. There's lots of things like IBS. IBS, you go to the doctor, IBS, they don't really know what that is. They just know you're having a gastrointestinal problem. It fits within these parameter of symptoms. They give you this term called IBS. Why? So that way now you have a name for your symptoms. Now you're identified. I have IBS. And every time you say that, you're saying, I am IBS. You don't know that's happening, but that's part of the design in the program. For the vast most part, when someone's having gut issues, two things I look at is how are you eating? How's your food? I'm going to be straight up honest. The vast majority of food that's available in the grocery store is poison. Poison. Let me repeat that. The vast majority of food that you're eating is probably poison. Okay. So that's the first place that people need to pay attention. I'm not here to harp on that, preach about it, complain about the world and, oh, they're poisoning our food. If you're paying any attention, you'll know that. Okay. Like, yeah, look how sick the United States is. We're like one of the sickest. We have the greatest healthcare and the sickest population. I mean, it's been divulged that we have foods that are on the shelves that the ingredients in them are banned in most other countries. So the first step is food. And people say, well, what should I eat? Should I do this diet and this diet and this diet and this diet? I'm like, listen, those are all fads. Diets basically have this idea that it's temporary. What I would tell you to do is seek a new lifestyle. And that may want to include, and what I would recommend is staying away from ultra processed foods. Okay. Staying away from food that's been through process to become food for you. Crackers, cookies, cakes, The vast majority of food is processed food. It's stuff that you probably shouldn't eat or at a very limited amount. Seed oils, you go eat fried foods. That's one issue all on its own, but it's bathed in oil that stops you from being able to digest properly. Other forms of poisons. If you look at the list and there's 25 ingredients to this one thing and 10 of them you can't pronounce, you probably shouldn't eat it. People ask all the time, what should I eat? I don't know. Nobody knows that. Only you know that. No, you know how you find that out is getting in touch with yourself, in touch with your body. Your body begins to tell you. My body tells me what it wants, and it also tells me what not to eat. I don't always listen. I definitely love sugar. Okay. So I eat way too much sugar. I eat a lot less than most other people. I'm aware of that, but I'm just telling you from my standpoint, I'm having too much sugar, and what I should do and what I want to do is curb that, cut that out. But it's an addiction. It's very much an addiction. Your body will begin to crave it. Your mind will begin to crave it. But I definitely like to cut it down when I can. I don't feel well. Like I didn't feel well because on Easter, which I did well, I didn't indulge as much as I wanted to, but I had way more sugar than I normally do, and which was less than probably other people in the room. But I'm not here to compare. I'm talking about me, talking about myself. I want to change my sugar intake. Okay. I've been able to switch lots of other things. I do mostly eat a whole food diet, but I stray. I eat other things too, but I try to mostly focus on whole foods. The more whole the food, the better. Like I don't buy frozen vegetables. I buy fresh vegetables, generally organic, grown, non-pesticide, I hope, vegetables. And, I cut them and make them that way. Buying frozen vegetables it's processing. So within the processing, you're going to have additives and things. Usually you're going to have things that happen. When it comes to meats, I try to buy antibiotic, pasture raised chicken if I can. It's expensive. I understand that, and it's hard for everybody, but you have to decide. This is what I figured out, because I fast every day too. So I eat less food than I used to, because I'm not eating 5-6 times a day. I'm eating like 2 times in that window. So what's happening is I'm eating less food. So the thing is if you gain a good relationship with food, and that's another aspect to gut health, is not just eating, but having a relationship with your food. And people have heard me talk about this a while back. And I talk about this often, having a relationship with your food, structuring your food with your intention. Those are all very important things, because everything's energy, right? You're essentially, that's why we say grace. It's what's really happening is you're blessing your food, the dinner, the lunch, whatever it is, you're blessing it. You're giving it connection of your soul. And this is something that's been proven through studies like cymatics, the studies of Dr. Emoto, where they're able to see that your intention affects water molecules. If you have a loving intention towards a glass of water, they're able to take that water, pour it out, look at it under a microscope, and then they can see that the water, the cells of the water actually form and become organized in a way. This is also like why, we've known for a long time, if you're loving to plants, they grow better. If you play them beautiful classical music, they grow better. If you play them rancid heavy metal or heartbreak songs, they don't grow, they die. So this is kind of the same way with everything around us. We just need to learn to start paying more attention to our reality. We're in our heads most of the time, overthinking, analyzing a past, trying to generate a future, but never being in the present moment. The more you can come into the present moment, and that key way to the present moment is your breath. Your breath, it's your bridge between your conscious and subconscious mind, because your breath happens all on its own subconsciously, but you do have control consciously as how it happens. Just a few breaths can begin to center you and bring you into the present moment. 3 breaths for me, and I'm all tingly. It's shifted my awareness, and I'm back into this central awareness. This takes a lot of practice. You got to practice this every day. I practice every day and practice every day for a little over 5 years now. And I don't see any day where I'm not going to do that. I want to do that. I'm open to do that. So yeah, food's super important. If you're having gut issues, the first step is food. Change your food fast. Cut down what you're eating. Whole foods, good meats. I would say to stay away from grains, anything with flour, anything with American flour. Stay away from that. Okay, our flour is tainted. It's no good. Okay, it's got GMO as well as loaded with glyphosate. Okay, and if you don't know what glyphosate is, which surprisingly I keep running across many people who don't know what glyphosate is, you might want to check that out. Glyphosate, glyphosate. And that'll take you down a rabbit hole. Hi, Regina. When do you know that you're hindering someone's spiritual journey instead of helping them? Speaking of triggers, I guess it triggers me when I overhelp, but it doesn't seem like help. When do you know that you're hindering someone's spiritual journey? So here's the thing. That's all judgments. You can't hinder anything, and you actually can't do anything that you're not meant to do. I know it sounds, what do you mean? What do you mean? I'm always judging things and myself. What happens if you release the judgment and you just allow yourself to be in the flow of, oh, the universe is guiding me where it needs to. So, and then what you got to pay attention to is by you answering the question, it answers yourself. When do you know that you're hindering someone's spiritual journey? Well, then that means that if you already think that, that means that you probably are. Again, you can't really. But you can decide whether to be a contribution or a non-contribution. So, and if it feels like you're not a contribution because it says I overhelp, well, yeah, that happens a lot. So you have to understand that so there's a lot to this. So I'm picking up more. So your spirit guides are starting to talk to me, and what it is what they're showing me is that you're projecting out of fear. Is what's happening. So the thing you're calling help is actually, it is a hindrance in a way because it's heavy energy. You're not trying to help from the love of you. You're trying to help from the fear of you. So whoever it is that you're over helping, this is because you want them to change. This is your need, your want. It's about you, not them. Okay. You're not honoring their journey. So being supportive and loving of someone is one thing, but trying to get them to change, like I'm trying to make you change, that's fear. So it's understanding, where are you coming from? You'll never be a hindrance to anyone if you're centered in love. If it's, I love you so much. And then when you find there is you don't want to overhelp so much. You just want to be there to be supportive and kind of be a leading role, to be a, what's the word I'm looking for? The word escapes me, but what you want to be is you want to be like guidance. You want to lead by example. That's what you want to be. You want to lead by example, right? So it's paying attention to your actions. So lots of people get into this, especially when they begin their spiritual journey. I know I did too. So you're not doing anything wrong. Again, there's nothing wrong. You're doing everything right. Because look, you're questioning what's happening. Perfect. You're right on time. You've done nothing wrong. Okay. So once you start to question these things, perfect. That's just right. Question my motives. What am I doing and why am I doing it? Why do I do what I do? Right. When I first started on my spiritual journey, I wanted to save everyone. I want to save you. I want to save my parents. The thing is you're here to save no one. You're not here to rescue anybody. If you think that, you need to start looking inward on what you're not working on. Most of the need externally to save others is a mirror of what we're unwilling to do for ourselves. Yep. My spiritual guidance is really pushing that in here, telling me like, yes, you have to look at you. You have to, why am I choosing what I'm choosing? And what I wanted to do is I was just afraid because I was afraid I was going to lose these people because I'm growing and they're not. But that's not up to me. That's all about my feelings, my fear of loss. And by doing that, I'm actually adding hucha to the mix. So then at that point, it's not really a contribution at all. Or is it? Because then again, there's like a dual way of thinking here. You can like, well, this is good and this is bad. What if it's all good? What if it's all good and all I'm meant to do here is make it better all the time? Be better all the time. That's how I really that's how my mind likes to work. I know that doesn't work for everybody. It depends where you're at on your journey. For me, that works beautifully. I like that beautifully. I like to, as soon as I can, move into complete acceptance. I don't say there must be some mistake in this reality. God's made a mistake. This should be some other way. Instead, I go into, oh, I'm looking at what's happening. So if I were to question myself, am I helping this person or hurting them? If I'm even asking the question, it's probably because I feel like I'm hurting myself in some sort of way. So there's a lot here. The mind's a very powerful, powerful thing. And we got to look at it, right? So again, if you become triggered when you overhelp, why are you triggered, right? So you want to find out, I'm triggered. The trigger just shows you where you're not free, because there's nothing to be triggered about, really. The trigger, instead, now we can take the trigger. It's just showing me. I like to sometimes call the trigger, kind of get rid of the word because it sounds like a gun. The signal. It's a signal. A trigger is a signal. It's just a signal. Boop, saying boop. Hey, pay attention to what's going on. That's what I really think a trigger should be. I think a trigger should not be more of a reaction. It should be like, hey, pay attention, pay attention. And then I think it'll work a lot better. So when you're feeling triggered, Regina, start to look at what it's telling you. What is it saying? What is it saying about me? But I'm pretty sure I already hit the nail on the head. Your guidance was working with me beautifully, showing me about where you're overstepping. And it's just because you're trying to rescue. Don't try to rescue. Try to aid. I'm here to aid you, not rescue you. If you think you need to rescue someone, this puts them in a disempowered position in your mind. So make them empowered. Make it the other way. I already see that you're perfect. I used to think that I needed to save people. I know I'm not here to save people. I'm here to help you save yourself if you want to. If you don't want to, I still love you just the way you are. If you don't want to change, that's okay. I don't need you to. I just want you to be who you are. And I love you for who you are. That feels good. See, now that's what I needed. So you've just brought medicine to me. And that's how these things work. You've brought something into me that makes me feel good. I'm moving into acceptance. Because like I said, when I first got on this morning, I was feeling a little heavy. And now I'm aware I'm feeling heavy because I'm in non-acceptance of my reality. I think it should be some other way when I have all the power to change it from within. Thank you so much, Regina. Oh, I'm up here. Mike Skilt. Mike Skill. You're a Mike Skill. You have lots of different names, Mike Skill. Good morning, my brother. Hi. Sejiska. I don't know how to say your name, but I like the way it looks. It feels nice. I notice I unintentionally trigger some, and that my spirit irritating theirs, or how do I approach the after trigger to speak? I've noticed I unintentionally trigger some. Yeah, you will. I do. I talk about this a lot. A lot of the things I said here are going to trigger some people. The more awake you are, then, it's the fool. It's a fool that doesn't want to be corrected. Okay. The awakened, alive person doesn't mind at all. They want to learn. Even if they don't agree with what you're saying, there's something to be picked up in everything that happens, okay? So it's usually resistance. When I trigger someone, it's resistance because I pointed out to them in some way, some part of them that they don't want to look at. The ego hates to see itself. So also when you're in high vibration, you'll be triggering to people. Like I've had people come to me in tears because their friends and people around them say they're annoyingly positive. I'm like, why? Like, tell me more about that. And then, so they'll tell me about the interaction. It's just because some people, are still in modes of consciousness where suffering and complaining feels good and normal to them. Okay. So you can be, when you shine bright, you can be triggering to others. Okay. But again, this all depends on what you're doing. Are you vibrating from love? Good. That's where you need to vibrate from. So the after trigger, we would have to talk about, like, that's going to be vastly different depending on each situation. So I can't give you like a cookie cutter kind of answer to that. We would have to talk about, like, well, give me an example. Give me an example of an interaction that you've had, and I could probably lay out a potential way of handling the situation. Each situation is going to be different. What I always say is try to lead with love. Try to just keep yourself calm. Calm's a superpower, okay? You could be triggered and calm at the same time. You could be triggered and non-reactive. The trigger can stay within you in your belly and not rise up to your head. That's usually what happens. The trigger hits here, and then it rises up here into the defense mode network, and we become defensive. So if we learn how to keep the energy of the trigger in the middle of the belly, we can process it. And it comes and it goes. The trigger can come because the trigger is a feeling, okay? Remember, triggers are just feelings, and feelings are just like visitors. They come and they go. But if you stay triggered or consistently triggered, this is emotion, and that's because it's connected to a story, right? The trigger is connected to a story. If you're triggered, it's a story that's being brought up because there's no reason to be triggered unless you have to react to something in your reality. Like, I'm triggered to respond because there's a dog chasing me, okay? Or the car swerved and almost hit me. I'm triggered, and what I got to do, but I let it go, right? Once the dog is no longer chasing me, and I can let it go, but lots of people stay triggered. They stay mad about things. Oh, and they're replaying a story in their mind. That son of a bitch. Can you believe they said this and did this? And then they go, whatever. They just go, whatever. And they push it down. And then the day goes on, it comes up, something else happens, reminds them of it. Oh, it's happening again. My day sucks. This happened, that happened. This asshole said this. Oh, I'm triggered. And then they go, I don't want to be triggered anyway. Push it down, or they have a drink of alcohol or a puff on their vape, something that changes the state and allows everything to get compacted back down, but it's never being processed. So then this continues in the triggering cycle. This cycle of triggering continues, and it brings it up and it brings it up and it brings it up because it's never being processed. The most beautiful thing you can do for yourself is when you become triggered, allow yourself to be triggered. And what you're doing is you're just choosing not to react. You don't have to. Don't be mad about the trigger. Oh, because like I said, you can change the words. Let's get rid of that word, signal. I have a signal that something's happening. Am I safe? That's my first question in my mind whenever I'm triggered. Something really gets me fired up. I become aware I'm fired up. My default is to begin to breathe. Am I safe? Yeah, I'm safe. Nothing's chasing me. Everything's okay. I'm out of sorts. Am I okay? Yes. What's going on? Why is this happening? And then you can start to ask yourself, well, I'm triggered. Why am I triggered? Well, I feel this way or that way. It's really being, because what we do is we try to externalize. I'm triggered because this son of a bitch said this and did that. It's not them. It's in here. Why am I triggered? Oh, because I feel like something's being taken from me. I feel like I'm losing something. I feel like this is going to harm my future. There's a story that you're agreeing to. If you can become aware of the story, you can make a choice then. Do I want to agree to the story or disagree to the story? I choose to disagree. So I've trained my mind to become in disagreement with the story. Oh, that story, that's not serving me. That's not helping me or helping anyone else. Do I need to hold on to it? Nope. And you can choose as a sovereign being to let go. Now, some stories require you to dig into them because you'll have to take apart the trauma. You have to take apart the seed. Not all of it is like that. It's not like, this is why like standard psychotherapies don't work for people, because they're just rehashing the past experience, not processing it. There's some stuff you don't need to unpack or talk about at all. Some of it you do. If it keeps recycling, you need to talk about it. You need to open yourself up and be really honest about how you feel, not about the story of what someone else did to you, talking about how you feel about what's happened, and then you can be honest to yourself about how you feel. How do you really feel? And that's another great question. I love open-ended questions. They're fantastic for rewiring the mind. And one of my favorites is, how do you feel? Ask yourself that right now. How do I feel? Just in this moment, how do I feel? So I feel light, airy, a little tingly. That's like my physical body sensations. And I go, how do I feel emotionally? Well, I got to tell you, I feel a lot better than where I started this morning. I'm in a lot more space of acceptance. How do you feel? How do you really feel? Am I happy? Yes, I'm happy. Do you feel grateful and abundant? Yes, I feel grateful and abundant. Checking in with yourself. And if you feel whatever it is you feel, honor it. Honor it. Honor your feelings. That's what I'll always tell you. Don't run from them. Stop running from your feelings. This is what creates the damage in our lives, is us not processing our emotion, our feeling. Honor your feelings. If you feel terrible, if you feel lack, if you feel sadness, if you feel lonely, if you feel heavy and depressed, let yourself feel that. Allow yourself to feel. Go into it. Cry your face off. Allow yourself to feel. It's our inability, because what we try so hard not to do is feel, so we externalize. The ego externalizes. I don't want to feel this thing that's within me. I'm even embarrassed to feel this way. So I'm going to blame something outside of me for how I feel. This instates that cycle that keeps happening. There's nothing outside of you that has any control over your emotion. And if you agree to some other way, then that's showing you where you're not free. Nothing outside of you has control over how you feel. You're choosing. You choose. And you can always choose. I didn't say it's easy. So those are words like, oh, if only it were so easy. Well, I never said easy. I said it's possible. Okay. What's possible? What's possible and what easy are two different things. If you want easy, then you're going to keep pushing it down because that's easy. If you want freedom, you're going to step into possibilities. Is it possible for me to be free from my thoughts? Is it possible for me to be free from my story and my past? It is. It totally is. Indeed, you hit the nail on the head. Thank you. My wonderful sister, I love you so much. Thank you for coming in here. I love to be of assistance. I want to stay in that loving energy flow. Yeah, me too. The thing is it's not, that's not logical. Okay. I want to stay in that loving energy flow. Is it okay when you're not? That's what you need to ask yourself. Is it okay when I'm not? Because everything is a wave. So even when it's really bad, when it's really shitty, I would say this too shall pass. Also, even when it's really good and perfect and you're in the loving flow, this too shall pass. So all modes, all ways of being are temporary, because we're here in this body and as a human to experience all ways of being. You're meant to experience in the loving flow of energy and in the heaviest cesspool flow of heaviness of energy too. You're meant to. The thing is you have a choice as to how you use these things and where you stay. Okay. You can always return to the loving energy flow, but you must be aware that it's okay for you not to be in that flow, because sometimes that's where you need to be in order for you to grow. If you're not uncomfortable, you won't grow. And that's why the universe is designed this way. It's designed in a way to keep you changing, to keep you evolving and adapting. It's when we stop adapting is when everything gets stagnant and stuck. And then there's a problem begins to arise because there's energy blockage. You gotta allow the energy to always flow. So I don't think it's wrong to want to stay in that energy flow. Me too. But I'm also in complete acceptance when it's not. I know that it can't be that way all the time. And I don't even ask for it to be. Like I said, I honor all emotions. When I'm not in the loving flow, when I feel like shit, I honor that. This is how it is right now. Is that okay? Yes. It's always asking yourself, is this okay? Can I handle this? Yeah, I sure can. And when you move into that space of acceptance, now the problem isn't really a problem anymore. It's more or less an opportunity. So opportunities to grow or rise outside of the loving flow of energy. When you're in the loving flow, it's not really when you're growing. You're growing when you're overcoming the lack of loving energy flow. When you're overcoming, when you're learning how to straighten yourself out when it's heavy, because it's going to be heavy. We live in the middle world. In the middle world, it's half heavy and half light. So you're half heavy and you're half light. You're half evil and half holy. That's who you are. You have a choice as to where to lean your attention. Sometimes you're going to be evil because that's part of our nature. But it's not really true. It's just heavy energy. Sometimes it's going to be heavy. Other times it's going to be light. You have a choice on to which way you place your attention. You can victimize yourself and go deeper and deeper into heavy. We know plenty of people like that are they've self-victimized themselves into a point where it looks like they can't escape because it feels comfortable. They feel safe in that facade. It's a lie, but they feel safe in there. But the thing is that facade, that space of being, sooner or later piles up symptoms. There'll be symptoms in the life, in the reality, physical symptoms, mental, emotional symptoms, relationship symptoms, so on and so forth, that will generate suffering. And that suffering sooner or later will force the human to shift, to change. Okay. And that happens different for each of us. I am personally very, very stubborn person. So it took a lot for me to begin to open up. My reality brought me into a very deep level of illness, terminal illness, as a matter of fact, before I could begin to pay attention to the shifting and changing. But I'm with you. I do also want to stay in that loving energy flow, but I'm also in complete acceptance that it's not always going to be that way. Water rising in Rocky River. Should we build an ark, Mike? It's funny that you mentioned that, because I was thinking about that this morning. I was thinking about past civilizations, and I had this awareness come to me that the Great Deluge was actually an accident in a way. It was created by previous races of beings that were here, because we're already out of time. They started in the 1960s with cloud seeding and stuff. Weather is controlled to a certain degree. And if you don't believe me, all you got to do is just go down that rabbit hole, find out about the studies, about all the things that have been happening since the 60s with cloud seeding, percussion, and lasers. They've been using those for a long time to modify weather patterns. I must have come in at the exact perfect moment. Thank you. Jill, could you be here at any other way? You too. Self-reflection is powerful. Yes, but very difficult for most of us, because this requires us to reach into the deeper parts of our consciousness. And most people have no idea how to do that, because this requires you to learn how to regulate your nervous system. And this is precisely what I teach. The first thing I teach is breath, but beyond that, there's many other things, and there's no one size fits all for people. Pretty much, if you have lungs and you start to breathe, you're going to begin to change. If you're not breathing for 20 minutes every day, using a strong diaphragmatic pattern, breathing for a while, what you're doing is you're moving blood, lymph, cerebral spinal fluid, moving all the fluids of the body, moving the energy of the body. You're getting everything flowing, putting yourself in a perfect position to be able to connect to your higher consciousness. That alone will begin to change how you self-reflect. Breathe for 5 minutes. Breathe in and out. Don't count the breaths. Don't worry about anything. Just breathe. Just breathe, and then relax. Close your eyes. Relax. Relax and allow yourself to feel whatever's there. That's reflection. That's the deepest form of reflection, allowing yourself to see your thoughts without reaction, without judgment, just watching. I like to watch my thoughts move around, because thoughts are energy forms. It's really important to understand and be able to change thinking. It's really important for us to understand what are thoughts and where do they come from. Well, thoughts are energy forms, little packets of energy, and we pick those up via our vibration. Okay, so when you learn something, you're actually connecting into the field of living energy. You can read a book and take in the information. When you're taking in information, this creates vibrational energy that you're connecting into the field. And now you can begin to access these thoughts. Now, the more you access a thought, the more ready it is to come to you. Just like any other neural activity. Stuff you do all the time, you're really good at. Stuff you don't do too much, you're not going to be good, like throwing with your left hand if you're right-handed. Not going to be too good at it. You know, if you're whatever your dominant hand can do, your non-dominant hand probably can't do it exactly the same, even if you're ambidextrous. I know people are ambidextrous. They're not exactly equal. Both hands can do things. One is more with certain things and one is more with the other. Let's see. If I find myself there, I express it, not internalize. Resistance is futile. Yeah. Definitely don't externalize. So internalize means to push down. Externalize means to blame everyone else. So there's kind of two ways to kind of look at that. Many times mad at myself. The ducks are surfing the lake. Population control, I stay away from that. Army, follow planes back to ship, altitude, ice crystals, going on a pier. Cool. What was I going to say? But yeah, self-reflection, self-awareness. So reflection, we're always reflecting. I like to say it, self-awareness. Are you aware of the decisions you're making? One of my favorite questions is, why do I do what I do? Do you ever ask yourself that? Why do I do what I do? Everything you do during the day, most of it's programmed from the subconscious. So if you can become aware of why you do what you do, you're starting to make the subconscious or unconscious conscious. And how empowering is that? Very. So I have a little note here, and it just popped up out of nowhere. And I took this note a long time ago, but I guess we're supposed to share it today. And here's what it says. It says, you are today where your thoughts have brought you. Okay. So you're right now, wherever you're at today, you're right where your thoughts have brought you. We were just talking about thoughts. Your thoughts are important. You have a choice, though, as to how you think. You can recycle these thoughts, or you can change your vibration and bring in new thoughts. Because again, thoughts are energy forms. They're not coming from you. You're reading them from the field. They're not you. Your thoughts aren't yours by any means. There is no original thought. That freaks people out. What do you mean? Yeah, I know all the things we think are original. We copyright things and everything. There's no original thought. It all exists in the field already. Your vibration brings it to you. So if you change your vibration, you change the way you think. And if you change the way you think, this changes the way you perceive reality. And if you change the way you perceive reality, your whole life changes. Okay? You are today where your thoughts have brought you. You will be tomorrow where your thoughts take you. Contemplate that for a second. You are today where your thoughts have brought you, and you will be tomorrow where your thoughts take you. Thoughts. Focusing on the energy of thought and how important it is. So you have a choice. That's the cool part. Thoughts happen. It's just like your breath, happen kind of automatically. Also, you have a choice. So it's just like when you're practicing your breath, you can practice your thinking. Place your attention on things that empower you and empower others. Forgive yourself for the other way. It's all about forgiveness. Forgiveness is a big thing for all human beings. And it's not something you give or receive. It's something you be. It's a frequency of consciousness, a state of being. If you think it's some other way, you'll never be successful. Lots of people come to me and we'll find out that they're carrying deep levels of resentment. They're like, I thought I forgave my mother already. Yeah, it's because you thought it was something you give. You know, it's something that we and our ego tried to decide if you're worthy for me to forgive you. What? That doesn't make any sense, because non-forgiveness, it only lives in you. Your resentment only lives in you. You don't forgive to give someone as a gift. People think that, though. There are people, I know I used to think that. I'm never going to forgive them. They don't deserve my forgiveness. Well, it's not your forgiveness. You don't own it. It's a state of being. It's a way of being. It's your Christed self, allowing your highest self to come forward. And when you begin to realize that, now forgiveness becomes very easy, because now you don't have to give anything away. You don't have to do anything except surrender to yourself. And where does that forgiveness really go to? It goes to you, because you've been the one carrying the pain, the anguish, the hate. The person you hate doesn't feel that. The person you're holding resentment for doesn't feel that. You do. It's yours. It's all yours. So when you decide and find out that, oh, I want to be forgiveness, then you can start to release the things that you're holding on to and call to you that living energy of forgiveness. I want to be forgiveness. You can ask the universe, bring to me the power and energy of forgiveness. Help me to release my heaviness, release my attachments, release my fear, release my need for this anger, this rage, this frustration, my resistance. In with the good light, out with the heavy light. In with the beauty, out with the heavy. And this is how you can put yourself in flow. Breathe in. I breathe in forgiveness. I am forgiveness. I'm not resentment anymore. Release, because whatever you hold on to, you become it. I release my resentment. I'm not mad at anything anymore. It makes no sense for me to. I am forgiveness. I forgive myself for holding on to my anger, for my past choices and ideas, and I forgive everyone and everything else. I need not hold on to any frustration. Processing. I'm processing energy. See? Acceptance and love. Very good. Nice. Okay, we're at about an hour now. I'm going to get ready to roll out here in a few minutes, but I'm still open for anyone that has any questions. This is Ask the Shaman. Do you have any health questions or anything like that? I've been having lots of health questions lately. People coming to me asking me about how do I improve my health? You know, there's lots of answers to that. There's no one answer. I told you the first one today is food, your fuel. What are you putting into your body? You know, and your diet isn't just about food. Okay, food's important. But we're going to talk about diet. Diet's more than that. Diet's about what you put into your mind. What are you doing? Are you binge watching Netflix? Are you watching lots of standard television? Are you watching the news? Well, you're poisoning yourself. Okay. What kind of music do you listen to? What kind of books do you read? What kind of people do you choose to be around? What are your hobbies? You know, all those things equate to what you're putting in, and whatever you put in is going to equal what you put out. So if you're putting trash in, trash will come out of you. If you're putting in beauty, beauty will rise from you, will come from you. It's really that simple. I know most people don't want to hear that. Nobody wants the simple answer. Everyone gets upset when you tell them your whole life can change if you change your breathing. What? If it were that easy, everyone would know. Nope, not true at all. It's because everyone overlooks it. Start to change your breath. Then you'll find out. There's only one way to find out. Until you have 12 weeks of daily breathing under your belt, you know nothing about it. You don't know if it works or doesn't work for you. Those are all ideas. You're agreeing to a limitation idea. Chances are you may not want to change, and that's okay too. Lots of people say, I want to change. And it's not that they want to change. They want to escape. They want to get away from the life that they're living. And if you want to escape it, you'll keep escaping forever. All you want to do is first accept it as it is and then decide to change, not bury it, not push it under the rug. Okay, that's a big difference. Relief is not healing. Relief is not healing. Relief is not healing. Okay, we live in a world that's taught us to search for relief. If you have a boo-boo, if you have an illness, what do? If you have a headache, first thing you do is you look for relief. You run to the Excedrin, the Bayer, the aspirin, the Tylenol. Why? Because you don't want to pay attention to what the signal is, because no one told you that. When you have a headache, when you have a pain in your body, when you have an illness, when you have these things, it's a messenger. It's a signal. Symptoms are messengers showing you that you need to make an internal change. And we recycle these experiences until we make an internal change. Ooh, dragon blood stone fell out of Mesa. Beautiful dragon. Dragons. Wow, I'm taking a nice strong pitch left ear. So dragons represent change. Dragons are like forms of serpents. So dragons, as they grow, just like serpents, they're scaly. They shed their skin. So you're a dragon. We're dragons. We're all things. And it's the thing, live the way of the dragon or the way of the serpent. Allow yourself to be able to shed your skin. I think this is why in like the Christian religion, serpent has been pushed down so bad. It's like this terrible thing. It's even made people afraid of snakes. They call each other, you're a snake. Yep. Because I change my skin. I peel my skin away. We've made it in this Western world something bad, when really it's the most powerful form of transformation. Embodying, because remember, your creation itself, you are the energy of the serpent. The serpent has the ability, it has the ability to move through and navigate through the lower world. That's our emotions, navigating through the emotions. It has the ability to grow and peel away, peeling away its old self for a new self to be born, which is very important for all of us. So I like the dragon energy. I once lived that way. I'm not sure what we're talking about. I make very few decisions. I truly let grace handle my path. Well, that's not true. You're always making decisions, but I kind of understand what you're saying. I try to allow my reality. I have full belief in the universe. Okay. And then so I know as long as I'm vibrating with source or with God, if I'm in connection with God, I'm always going to be led to where I need to go. I know that because it's already did it. You know, it's easy for me to understand because God has led me from my oblivion. God has taken me from hell and brought me into heaven. I breathe, I walk, I talk, I can do anything I want to, where before I couldn't. It's taken away from me. It's really easy to understand how beautiful life is when it's taken from you, when you can no longer breathe. The simplicity of big giant breaths like that, full exhales like that did not exist in my reality. When you have high stage COPD emphysema, you can't exhale all the way. Your lungs they feel stiff and solid. They hurt. It's weird. It feels terrible. You can breathe in pretty big, but you can't exhale all the way. Because exhaling all the way brings on a coughing fit. The lungs don't want to release. So it's lots of inflammation. So that was very beautiful. It was difficult at the time, but very beautiful how it's brought to me my awareness. But yes, live graciously. Tommy says, my diet can for sure use some redo, mind, spirit, and body. Well, that's where it starts, Tom. It starts with your awareness. You know, you've done nothing wrong. You're just doing what you thought you had to do to survive. Can that change? Sure. And you want it to change. So change, you know, make a change. Eat less and eat higher grade food. That's why I was saying before. People complain, well, this higher grade food costs too much. All right. So because of money, because of the cost, you're going to poison yourself then? Do you see how that makes no sense? Now you've made money more important than you. So, and I understand if you don't have the abundance to eat as much of cleaner food, you use that money to buy less of cleaner food and you eat less, but you're eating cleaner food. Do you see? And then what happens is your body and gut microbiome begin to shift and you start to really be able to absorb the nutrition from the food you're eating. Because it doesn't matter how good your diet is, if you can't absorb the nutrition, nothing changes. And that's for most people because just the diet is not going to be enough. Okay. It'll help some. It may help. So there's different ways that this can work. You begin to change the way you're eating. You're eating more whole foods. What happens is your vibration begins to change and new thoughts begin to come in if you allow that. Now, I work with plenty of people who have great exercise regimens. They have wonderful, wonderful diets. The way they eat's fantastic. They try to do their spiritual work as often as they can, but what they're never doing. So they're working that body, they're working that spirit. The mind is suffering because they're not taking care of themselves on a mental aspect. Finding out, we were talking about today, why do I do what I do? You know, am I happy? If you're not happy, you got to change. No one else can do that for you because happiness grows within you and happiness is a choice. You'll never find it in a partner or a job or a location. You think that because temporarily you get a new car and you're happy about it. Most of that's pride. I deserve this. And I worked so hard for this piece of fucking metal covered in paint. You know, we give value to things that don't really have value. What's the most valuable thing? Your health. Because if you're not healthy, how are you going to perceive your life? It's better if you have no material things and vast health. Because then you can enjoy whatever it is that comes. You can have everything you want materially and have poor health. And guess what? You won't even be able to enjoy it. So your health, and not your health is more than just physical. Just as Tom pointed out, it's mind, body, and spirit. You have to work with all these things. You have to work with the body. You have to exercise. You have to eat properly. You have to sleep. Very, very important. You have to breathe. Very, very important. That pours over into mind. Breathe also affects mind. It works 2 things at the same time, 3 actually, because it also connects you to your spirit. It's a multi-tool in essence. You have to take care of your mind. You have to release your anger, release your frustrations. You have to learn to process your emotions, let go of the things that no longer serve you. Invite the things that you want. Spend time visualizing who you want to be. Who do you want to be? Who do you want to be? Who is your future self? Who's that person? Bring them here. Feel that. Observe that. And then your spirit, you have to spend time connecting to your higher self. This is meditation, yoga, breathing. Again, all 3 layers. That's why I love breathing so much. It connects to all 3 layers of being. It connects your mind, body, and spirit. Yeah. Wet laugh out loud, going to next job. How does it get better than that? Paid exercise. Yeah, right? Bless it. Food. Yeah, that's just what I was talking about at the beginning. Structure your food. Like here, I have a big jar of water here. Before I came on, I poured my water. I put my hands around it. Just take a couple seconds. And I'm sending my intention. But right here, I can feel the water. I can feel the vibration of the water in between my hands, in this field in between my hands. And now I'm sending from my heart down my hands and into the water. Again, you're using your mind's eye and disciplined imagination. We've been tricked into thinking our imagination isn't real. It's very real. It's energy. Send that energy. I send my loving energy into the water. This has also been proven by Dr. Emoto. Sending your intention towards water can structure its molecules. Then you drink it. You do this with your food too. You can do it with anything. You can structure the molecules in anything. I recommend trying it. That's a little more advanced. If you start with your food, that's a big thing. Tiffany Harris says, your body is the only place you'll live forever in this realm. Well, maybe. Benjamin says, top man, what do you think about chemotherapy, bro? Well, I don't, actually. I don't spend much time thinking about it. I think that it's something that has been pushed upon human beings as a treatment for something that nature can help treat to begin with. I already understand what cancer is beyond what medical idea is. It's an energetic revolt is what's happening. Cancer happens when we're not processing our energy. So I've worked with many people around the world, many cancer patients, and not all of them have been able to turn it around, but I've seen many of them turn it around by changing 3 things, by changing the connection to the mind, body, and spirit. For some people, I'm not a doctor, so I'm not going to tell you, I can't legally tell you these kinds of things of what to do. I would always say if you're engaged in chemotherapy, to seek out a medicine person, a good qualified medicine person like myself or someone else, and have them work with you too. Like there's good reason to put both styles of healing together, to take the allopathic route, the medication, the physical healing kind of route, along with the energy and spiritual route, putting those together. Like, I'm not like, there's lots of people who are in this field I'm in that are totally against Western medicine. I'm not at all. I don't say that. Sometimes medication is necessary to get you to the next step. What I will say is medications will never heal you. Okay. Even chemotherapy, it doesn't heal you. It kills you, and then you're regenerating. You have the ability to do that. A big thing is particularly fasting, and sometimes people on chemotherapy, they're too weak to fast. So this runs into a conundrum. It all depends on how you want to go. Are you so afraid to die that you'll do whatever it takes to survive? Are you just willing just to survive, even if that's minimal, even if your quality of life is total shit? Then that's rooted in fear, and you're probably going to suffer. If you have no fear of death and you're okay with whatever shows up, now you have the ability to heal and change. It has to do with your mind. If you do things that are as powerful, this doesn't mean for sure that you'll heal, okay? That's the thing. It has to do with your faith. Every person's different. People think that, well, I did this and I did that and nothing happened. Well, you can't bullshit the universe. You have to allow yourself to move into the space of belief, the frequency of belief. This takes lots of practice. But when it comes to chemotherapy, if you're going to ask my personal opinion is if it were up to me, if I were in a condition where the doctors are offering me chemo, I will not take it. That's not something I'm willing to do. No thanks. I rather try my luck or my will with nature and what's meant to happen. And if I'm not meant to survive, I'm not meant to survive. But that's how my mind works. I'm not hell bent on just surviving with a low quality of life. I've come from there. You know, I couldn't walk upstairs. I couldn't tie my shoes without running out of breath. I couldn't work. I couldn't laugh. I couldn't cry. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't sing. They told me I couldn't recover. So I've already been through this. So for me, it's a no-brainer. I just go right into my faith. I believe that God will take me wherever I'm meant to be. And if that means to my grave, so be it. But to each his own. No one has to listen to what I'm saying. I'm not telling you that my way is the only way. Your way is the only way for you. I come back here to your body is the only place you'll live forever in this realm. Well, no, because your body is actually an illusion, is what I'm going to tell you. You know, everything, I'm very much a mystic, so I'm aware that everything's living energy, including the body. You already live forever. You're already there. So this isn't a realm, you're spirit now. So there's some misunderstandings that I'm just going to try to address here, is that we're not in a realm. Those are ideas. Those are third dimension ideas that create separation. I'm a fifth level priest. So from the fifth level of dimension, there's no fifth dimension of consciousness. I don't understand at my deepest core any sorts of separation, right? So there isn't this realm and that realm and physical and non-physical. This is just a frequency of being. We're having an experience of a human body, but that's not true either. All of this is waves of light and information that we're perceiving as solid through a nervous system. And I know that may be hard to understand, but that's the truth. So you already live forever. You don't need a body to do that, ever. But you do need your body to traverse and navigate this form of being, this vibrational sensation. It's a vibrational sensation in which we're having here an experience. And an experience is designed in a way to help us to grow, help us to, grow. Do we leave our body when we leave here? Well, you're not in a body. Again, you're experiencing a body. So it all depends on how you see reality, how you see what it is. So like, you don't have a body, like you're a soul. You're actually here, just saying, since we're stuck in this body. Ooh, yeah. So see, that's starting to show some of your mindset, which is good. Just saying, since we're stuck in this body, take care of it. Well, you're not stuck. You can leave it anytime you want to. So that's not true. You're not stuck. You've chosen to come here. Pre-incarnation, you've chosen. You've chosen your parents. You've chosen your story, all of your hardships, all the ones that are going to happen. All those things are perfectly designed for your soul to grow, because the soul is who you are. You're not a body. You're a soul. So think of this more like a glove. Your body's like a glove that your soul is inside, and it's like a medium for you to experience this world. Just like, say, if I put VR goggles, virtual reality goggles on you, you're inside that reality. Well, you're not that reality. You're observing that reality. Just like this one. You're not here. That's not who you are. You're not this reality. You're observing this reality. That's why it makes no sense. We take it so serious. If you really knew, we all will eventually, if you really knew what this was, which is pretty much like a training program, this stops you from being afraid of anything. You have no more fear. There's nothing to be afraid of. You know, it's why Jesus was saying, the kingdom of heaven's in you. It's not anywhere else. You don't have to die to get there or anything like that. It's already there. It's already here. I'm in heaven already. I don't got to leave my body to do so, right? But we get to experience this body. So when you're saying leave the body, that leaves a lot for interpretation. Each person's going to see that a little bit different. Do you leave your body when you leave here? What do you think here is that you think you're leaving? So there's a lot of psychology that needs to be kind of opened up there to look at, especially when someone used the words like stuck. If you feel stuck in this position, that's something you're going to want to really get into, because you're not stuck. You've chosen to be here. It's a choice. You're choosing right now. What drives you to be alive? You can't explain that. Do you see? That's the higher power. That's the higher consciousness, right? Whoever you think you are, whoever Tiffany is, whoever Anthony is, or Benjamin or Tom, those are characters. We're playing characters in a story, but that's not who you are. That's who you're pretending to be right now. Once you realize that, you can change that character into anything you want. Yes, I'm saying in the deepest level, this is like a mass hallucination. Most people are not going to really enjoy that kind of thing because the ego gets afraid. It's like, you mean this isn't real? Well, what's real? Real is whatever you believe it is. Truth. What is truth? Truth is whatever you agree to it is. And that drives people crazy when I tell you, listen, there is no actual truth. Truth is whatever you agree to. And your truth may be different than my truth, right? If you kick and scream and want to disagree with that, you want to look at that. You want to understand, oh, what am I protecting? There's no facts either. Drives people crazy. Yes, there is. How do you know there's facts? Well, I'm agreeing to this evidence. Well, what if I don't agree to your evidence? See? Facts, truth. These are all things that are generated in the mind. So that's why we got to be loving to each other, because whatever's true for you may not be true for me, and whatever's fact for you may not be fact for me, and vice versa. I only bring higher states of consciousness and awareness. And when you're allowed to let go of these stringent things, these stringent rules that are in this matrix, then you can begin to fly. Fly. Tom says, after seeing what chemo did to my mom, it was 74 and the doctors were using her as a test patient, I swore I would not do chemo. Bad enough with the interferon from my hep C. Simulation. That's one way to look at it. But again, that sounds inorganic in some sort of way. I don't think it's a simulation more than I think it's a plan of ascension. So we are creation itself. Before you're Tiffany Harris, if I took away your whole story, right? Like if I gave you amnesia of all of your past and you don't know who you are, what you are, where you come from, those things, then who are you? Do you see? It changes everything, because everything you think you know has been grafted upon you. How do you know any of it's true? How do you know today's not the first day you woke up in this body? You don't. You can't know that. It's impossible. So what I say is just go with the flow. Don't worry about trying to name it, right? Like, so calling it something. Simulation. I don't know. You can call it that. I find that to be disempowering. I just call it a mode of being, right? We get to live here in this space and observe this space, and it's just a mode of being. This is a temporary mode of being. So as a rememberer, I remember what it's like to not be in this mode of being or not be in this human body. I know what it's like to be in between, to be a spirit. I know why I've incarnated here. I know why I'm here, what I'm doing, why I'm doing it. Okay. We all kind of have that same thing. You're creating your reality. Everything you perceive is happening inside of the being in which you are, because you're not separate from creation. We think we're separate because the ego says that, but there isn't separation at all. Go on, my brother. Thank you. Everyone's truth is not everyone's truth. I agree. Now, there's going to be people that will disagree with that. They're going to say, no, this is true. And I'll be like, what's true? And they'll be like, gravity's true. And I'll say, well, gravity is actually a theory you're experiencing. You have an experience of gravity. They've tried to explain it with a theory, but that's not what it is. It's energy, right? It's energy. Gravity is something that we're part of. We're not separate from it. It's the embrace of the earth because we're part of the earth. Gravity is amazing. But right, truth is not everyone's truth. You could tell me that, 1 + 1 is 2. Well, not always. It depends on what style of math you are focused upon, or if you agree of what 1 is. Right? That all starts at a fundamental agreement. How do you know that those things are right? You don't. You've assumed that because people you trust told you that. Same thing with how you're here, you're born, you're alive, you're meat and bones, and all the things that physically have been described create this complete prison of physicalness. When you're not physical, you're non-physical. You're an energetic being having what you perceive as a physical experience. Belief systems. Belief systems are great because belief systems are malleable, right? Like I was just saying, the reality in which you perceive, what you're seeing as reality, is in a direct relation to what you believe, your belief system. The cool part is belief systems are malleable. The more open you are to learn or accept or take apart new information without rejection allows you to be able to have a more flexible belief system. It's when we have a stout, non-movable belief system that we become trapped. I'm not willing to accept that there's any other possibility than the one I'm agreeing to. Guess what? All possibilities exist. If you think it's impossible, that means it's impossible for you, not anyone else. Just like if someone tells you something's impossible, that means it's impossible for them, not for you. Okay? Allow them to have that. Don't argue. If someone tells you it's impossible, like, okay. You don't have to argue with them. No, everything's possible for me, man. You don't have to tell them that. I'm like, no, not everything's possible. You can't fly. If you can fly, then fly. I'm like, well, maybe I just don't know how yet. I don't think it's impossible. Well, then they get upset, like just because it hasn't been done doesn't mean it's impossible, because everything has been impossible until it's been done. Lots of things, so many things. Like, even like, just think about like the evolution of us being able to see cells through a microscope. People thought people were crazy. The people that were saying, hey, I'm pretty sure that we're made out of smaller constituents. And people are like, no, I can't see it. So that's not real. Because that's how the mind works. If I don't have proof and I can't see it, that's not possible. Well, it is. It's very much possible. And then when they invented the microscope, it was proven. And then they said, even these cells are made out of smaller stuff. And people are like, bullshit, that can't happen. That's impossible. They invented an electron microscope. Then they could see atoms. Now flash forward into 2024, and now we have things like the CERN Hadron Collider that are inspecting particles that are small subatomic particles, quarks, and other small, tiny, teeny things. Guess what? Those are made out of smaller things too. Just like the macrocosm and the microcosm are mirrors of each other. You yourself are a living universe. Pharma killed my father. Well, that's a pretty strong assertion. 1 + 1 = 3 when I ended up with the baby. But aren't most of them programmed? Everything's a program. I am. Yes, you are. Everything's a program. All right. Well, we cruised through here. We're at 1:30. I have a client coming in at 11. So I got to get off here, take care of the body, do some things. What a wonderful morning. We really covered, got a quick chill there. We've covered a lot of ground this morning. I really enjoyed it. Again, if you're local and would like to come out to a sound bath, meditation, and like group discussion, come on out to Sacred Waters, 7 p.m. tomorrow night. Okay, Sacred Waters, North Olmsted. If you need more information about that, reach out to me or Mary, and we can help you out with that. Also, super excited if you would like to learn more about spirit guides. So all of us have spirit guides. If you have not made connection with your spirit guides, I can help you to do that. And even if you have, I can help you to strengthen that connection. Okay, so this is about spirit guide workshop. We're going to work on the first half is going to be connecting to your spirit guide. The second half of the class will be about spirit guide communication. So this at the deepest level is going to teach you how to connect with, create a relationship, and begin to communicate with spirit guides. The greater you get at this, the more open you are to higher intelligence being around you. Okay, it can really start to connect you also, because when I say spirit guide, I also mean higher mind, because there's no separation for me. There's the spirit guide, and then there's me. All is one thing. You're me, I'm you. It's all one thing. And then so what we're doing is we're taking ourselves out of this base mode of consciousness and flowering it so that we can open to higher levels of consciousness. This is what we call spirit guide, spiritual guidance, higher mind, higher self, source. There's many words one can use for it. I don't really care about the words. I want to teach you how to connect to the energy that's available to you so it can begin to communicate with you and create a more beautiful life. more fluid flowing life. So that's what the teaching is all about. If you're interested in that, join that workshop. It's going to be fantastic. I want to thank you all so much for being here this morning. I also would like to tell you to book a session with us at thepositivepineapple.org. Hop on that website. Check out the testimonials I've been putting up lately. I've been helping people all over the world for the last 5 years. I want to help you too. So if you're ready to change, if you want to grow, if you want to transform, whether that's you have illness, whether it's just you want to change your mindset, whether you just want to be more successful, I can help you in all those ways. So just reach out, book a session with me. You can also book sessions with Mary. She's a fantastic coach and teacher. If you're looking for more of a feminine kind of energy, I'm very much a strong masculine energy. Her and I together, we also work together to facilitate healing. That's open to you. So check that out. Check out our website. There should be links in the description. And then I always ask for you to help support our mission of healing. If you feel value, if you sense value in what I'm giving to the world and bringing here, if you feel like I'm helping in some sort of way, help me to continue. I need help. I need your help to continue. I need finance to continue to create and do more things. I want to offer more stuff into the world, more live streams, more workshops, more things. I need your help to do so. So help support our mission of healing. Make a donation, even if it's a little bit. Thank you for your generous donations. All of you are so much help. I really, really appreciate that. Together, we're changing. We're making a new world. Together, we create miracles. All right, buddy. I love you all so much. I'll be back on Thursday with another episode of Ask the Shaman. What we're going to do is before we hop off, we're going to close our sacred space up. So what this does is I'm just taking all the energy that we brought into the space. Remember, we opened our container in the beginning. We're going to now close up our container. So I reach out around me and I take in a big breath as I gather up all the energy overhead into a ball of light. And as I exhale, I bring it in through the top of my head and down through my body. Yeah, wow, that felt good. Thank you all for bringing your light and energy here. And I do this 3 times. I gather it up and I bring it in. Once more, I gather it up. I'm closing my flower. Nike Kuyaiki. Thank you. I love you. Arpichai Sonkolai, a dove from my heart. Remember, friends, brothers, sisters, soul family, breathe and be love. Reach out to me if you have any questions, comments, or concerns. I hope you have a beautiful week and a beautiful day. And I'll be back soon. Love to you all.